While some in New York City are trying to send Trump to jail, another team, the House Oversight Committee, led by Comer, has been quietly working, building a case against the President Joe Biden and his family of corruption from various countries, and that runs into tens of millions of dollars. Where that is going to end, I have a guess. I'm going to give you the guess at the end of this presentation. But before that, may I request all of you to like this video, and if you have not already subscribed to our channel, to do subscribe to our channel. Here we go. Evidence of Biden's corruption. It's not just Joe Biden. Nothing came in his name, but all of his family members seem to have a finger in the pie that is called as the loot from various countries. What are the countries? We're talking about Romania, China, Ukraine, and a few other countries. So I'm going to give you a whole list of details. So far, they have released 3 bank statements, bank record statements, where they have detailed the amounts of monies, the amounts of how much it came from where to what, and so on and so forth. These were released in March of 23, May of 2023, and now the latest one. So this gives you the total scope of how much money has been siphoned away to various shell companies under the name of the Bidens. So there is direct evidence now emerging where finally the end beneficiary is a Biden. So how is this happening? So we are going to see all the different data here. Again, like I said, we have done a lot of research. It took several days to put together all these things. If you want a more detailed version, look at the references supplied in the description section. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer has been investigating the Biden family business dealings for more than 2 years. As soon as they became the majority, that is in November 2022, they've been added now. So now it's beginning to pick up momentum because the Republicans control the House. So they have some power. They can actually get some things done, even though the president and the Senate are Democrat majority. The probe launch into impeachment inquiry of Biden is now entering the final phases. The House Oversight Committee wants Biden to testify, but he is refusing. In a letter to Biden, the committee has accounted for over 24 million that flowed from foreign sources to Biden and his family and their business associate. Always remember, guys, Rosemont, Roscmont, and then something, Rosemont Seneca, Rosemont Bio, this, Rosemont this. This is one way to try and keep track of all the companies that will go back and lead to the Bidens. No legitimate services were provided for all these payments. That is the key thing here. Why would you start a startup company and then there'll be like a shell company after that, and money will come into this, but these companies have sold no products? Why would then money come in? So there is somewhere cooking of the books, like saying that, oh, I did this. So this is where the crux of the problem is. You have to unwrap this thing one layer of onion at a time, which is why it took them some time. But now things are coming to a head, because as eager as the Democrats are to send Trump to jail, the Republicans are also trying to do the same to the Biden family. Not just Joe Biden, perhaps Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's brother Jim Biden as well. So just hang on here, you will see all the different stories coming up. The committee has traced money from foreign transactions, including from China, straight to Biden bank accounts. Certain checks are described as loan repayments, but then they can't show where and when the loan was given. The person who provided him with free bookkeeping service during his time as the VP didn't remember any evidence of a loan being given. See, that is the clincher. How can somebody get a loan payment when they have not given a loan in the first place? So James Comer, the House Oversight Committee chairman, issued a subpoena for targeted financial information from a certain financial institution related to Jim Biden, Sarah Biden, and Hunter Biden. Now, what happens when a subpoena arrives at the doorstep of a bank is that the bank will be forced to provide like the images of the checks that were there, because every check that you write for X to Y, right? The bank that pays out the check, they will have a photographic record of that. So when banks get subpoenaed, they'll be subpoenaed typically on a particular account, and in that account a particular period, and then they have to cough up all these graphical images of the actual check. Sometimes they may even give you checks It depends upon the kind of subpoena that is issued. This is as far as my knowledge of the law goes. So what happened was, there are other people also have turned over documents, such as Devon Archer. They turned over 3.7 million documents that were never before seen by any of the IRS investigators, the Securities and Exchange Commission investigators, or any of the different groups that have been investigating the Bidens for several years. After connecting the dots, the committee is now hopeful of getting their questions answered about the source of the shady transactions that went into the Biden family members and what role exactly Joe Biden played in all these shady business dealings. Several accounts, shell companies, and bribes. The committee has discovered a number of bank accounts over the past 1.5 years with $1 billion net worth of the Biden family. They found many shell companies having the sole purpose of laundering money that the Bidens were receiving from China, Romania, and even Russia. I mean, I have not included Ukraine here, but a very strong suspicion Ukraine is also in the mix here. During the investigation, Hunter Biden and Jim Biden were unable, Jim Biden is Joe's brother, were unable to answer what their family did to receive this money. 𝗠cie 𝗲𝗵𝘀𝘁 testified that the money from China was a bribe from the government of China to the Biden family. By the way, the company that gave the bribe has been shut down by China. So clearly there is something black in the dal, don't you think? Now, Merrick Garland obstructed the committee's investigation from time to time. Who is Merrick Garland? He is the Attorney General. He is the Chief Judicial Officer of the Biden administration. Again, people are trying to obstruct justice. So it's possible that Merrick Garland could also get prosecuted. You know what I'm thinking? Let me give you the ending right now. I think all this will be used to try and coerce Biden to not contest in the presidential elections, and they will probably bring up another candidate. So the same thing could happen on the Republican side also. So no Trump, no Biden. Then it will be two fresh candidates that could, really turn this presidential race upside down. How hard these two fight back, and more importantly, how hard the people behind them fight for them will determine who is going to be the winner in here. The committee had interviews with many witnesses. They have taken their testimonies, they have taken their mails and photographs, and the evidence found was overwhelming, which points to the involvement of either Hunter Biden or Jim Biden or Sarah Biden. Nothing directly associated with Joe Biden. But there are lots of conversations, emails, voice recordings that point to Hunter Biden saying that I need to give so much to the big guy, essentially that big guy being his father. And you will be blown away. This is just nothing but corruption, pure and simple. And we have to wait and see how this thing is all going to unravel. But Comer has said that they will hopefully present the people of America with this verdict. There was an extensive interview with Maria Bartiromo that Comer gave. This came 2-3 days ago, and I'm going to give you a link to that also. He says that we have not heard back from the commander-in-chief, that is Joe Biden, the president of the United States, on all the different communications that we have been giving them. So you're investigating the White House, so-called push to boost voter registration. So this is another problem. Voter registration is something where the Democrats, the Republicans allege, are trying to legitimize a lot of people who don't even have proper papers. So AG Merrick Garland, that is Attorney General, had said his election threats task force has accelerated its work, and we know that Garland says he vows to fight voter ID. This voter ID is essentially our voter card in India. You have to have a voter card. This is not there today. In fact, you don't even need a driver's license to vote in some states. Rules change from state to state, but all of them elect somebody who in turn elects the President of the United States, but it's not a consistent process of voting across the United States. So much for the most advanced country in the world. The Comer says, we are trying to follow the money, trying to identify bank accounts that we can subpoena to see who is paying for many of these campus protests, voter registration drives, things that influence the election. The White House, the Department of Justice, the FBI are doing everything they can to come up with some kind of Russian collusion. And Comer goes on to say there are millions that have crossed the southern border. This is my favorite topic too, illegal immigration. Now, what the Republicans are alleging is that Democrats will try and get many of them to become registered voters. My reading of the United States Constitution is that you have to be a US citizen to vote. And how are they going to do this? Essentially, they are going to pull up people who don't exist, people who have died, all these people's names under which votes will be cast, and then they'll be accepted as legitimate ballot. That's one theory. Now, if you want to know more about how many ways this can be played, you have to read my book, Who Painted My State Purple? 𝗣𝗚𝗏 says, we reported this week on a flyer that was being handed out according to another congressman, basically telling illegals who are coming across the border, don't forget to vote for Joe Biden. Illegals can't even get work in the United States. How are they going to get voters' rights? That means there is a quiet process in place, being put in place, that will allow these people to suddenly become voters and vote for the presidential election. If they can manage this thing without the Republicans catching on to it, guys, it is game over. That's why I keep saying, while the Republicans ought to win, they may not win in November. And if that happens, it's curtains for the democracy that we know that exists in the United States. And who is doing all the paying for all these things? No one wants to mention this, but we can take a guess as to who is behind all these things, as to why they want this, and what is going to be the end game for all these things. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out. But in the meantime, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.